Today's video sponsor is Archer and Olive. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's video. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be doing an entire video using paint markers. More specifically, these Archer and Olive acrylograph pens. So if you have been on the channel recently in the past few months, you have heard me talk about Archer and Olive a lot. And some might say that I've acquired quite the collection of acrylograph pens at this point, but Archer and Olive were super sweet and sent me their new collection of metallic pens, which are set to come out in a few days on their website. So I'm really excited to give these guys a little test drive and you know, swatch them, play around with them, and I'm gonna do some really cool drawings and trying to implement them with my other acrylograph pens, of course. So I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a swatch of these lovely metallic pens over here in my sketchbook. They're so beautiful. Obviously, I love just the formula of acrylograph pens, everything about them, and I'm pretty sure that Archer and Olive have never done anything besides the usual matte Pantone colors that they provided up until now. So this is like their first sort of different kind of pen set, I think, and I'm very excited. They look gorgeous, as you can see. The metallicness is mwah, chef's kiss. I love them. They're very beautiful, and they're not like super metallic that they are too shiny even when the light's not properly hitting them, so they have a bit of like a range in motion, I guess, in that sort of sense. And I wanted to give you guys a bit of a show of what they look like over the other pens, so I just drew out a black circle here and wanted to show you what they look like on top of darker colors. That's something I love about acrylograph pens, and is that they will just show up in one layer on top of whatever you put them on top of. Was that a sentence? Anyway, you get the point. They're awesome, super opaque. And these are the little thumbnails that I did the other night using the new acrylograph pens of like the Demon Slayer boys, because I kind of just wanted to do something really colorful for today's video so I could use an array of pens. So I thought it'd be really cute to do these sort of little trading cards, and like these little like character cards of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, because I don't know, I was just kind of inspired by those old-timey trading cards like Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that, and you got the shiny versions of them. So I really wanted to implement the metallic pens into these cards, sort of like their special edition or something. So yeah, I did these little sketches the other night, and I'm just tracing them onto the paper that I'm going to be using today. Very excited to start adding color to these. They're so cool. First and foremost, I thought I'd lay down some like little color palettes, so just so I can see what all the colors are going to look like together, because I am going to be using an array of different colors from a bunch of different sets of the Archer and Olive acrylograph pen sets, because they come in different sort of sets with different moods and stuff. Although now I know that you can buy some individual pens as well if you are in need of a specific color. So yeah, just kind of putting them all side by side, making a little palette, and also of course mixing in the metallic pens and seeing how gorgeous they look next to all the other colors. And then it was time to actually start coloring these bad boys in, starting off with, of course, Tanjiro. So yeah, this is just going to be a chill video of me painting with these markers and having a nice chill time. This was very therapeutic because it just was very reminiscent of coloring books, because I was trying to be very mindful of the lines, because as I said, these pens are very opaque and they're pretty much just paint pens. So the second they go over pencil or anything, you kind of lose the definition or just, you know, the see-throughness of that. So it just felt like I was doing a coloring in book, and it was very therapeutic. I just thought I'd do a chill paint and chat with me video. Yeah, as you can see, I just started laying down the flat colors, and then I went for obviously a very graphic-y style, because even though you can blend with these pens very easily, they actually come with blending markers and a blending pad that you can use to blend the colors. But because I wanted to go for a more graphic-y style that was more reminiscent of the Demon Slayer anime style, that's why I did more of an overlay, sort of layered style, as opposed to like actually mixing the colors together. And I'm really happy with the result. In the end, it just looks very I don't even know how to explain it, just very graphic-y, and I think it's kind of a departure of what I'm used to doing, so I was very, happy to try something a little bit out of my element. So I added some of that red metallic because it was just so gorgeous, probably one of my favorite ones in the set, so I just had to put some of it over there on his earrings, just to give it a little pop of metallic. And I was very much debating the whole time I was sketching out these cards. I was debating whether or not to use the metallic pens for the backgrounds or just to use them as like little highlights in each one, and I came to the decision that I am just going to use them for the highlights or the special effects of each one of the characters, because I felt like if I used the metallic pen colors for the entire background, it would both lose like the specialness of them, like the ooh element of them, and also I thought it would just become a little bit too busy if there was so much of a reflection from the card. So that's pretty much why I went for using not a lot of the metallic pens like on a large scale, but using them more selectively. So yeah, I just colored the background in for Tanjiro in this very striking red, which is just such a beautiful color. Look at it, which is kind of like an homage to his earrings and to his spoiler alert. If you don't want to get a spoiler, don't listen. But yeah, his fire breathing past and his father and everything, and being collecting coal and being a fire family. So yeah, I just thought that it would be nice to have the different cards using the different color families, red, yellow, and blue for each character. I just love that they have a red, a yellow, and a blue character. I just think it's so sweet, and they all kind of they're the primary colors, and they're really nice, and I love these boys a lot. As you can tell, I'm kind of going through a Demon Slayer fan art phase at the moment. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see more evidence of that. But I did recently watch Mugen Train, the movie, and I cried a whole lot. It was very nice, and also very sad, and also very beautiful. So, I'm very much at the moment inspired by the style of Demon Slayer. I find that I get very inspired by things that I've watched recently, whether it's the style or the characters or the type of story. So since I watched Mugen Train, and it was very it struck me a lot because of how gorgeous it is and how beautiful the style and the animation was. So I guess that's why I'm so just in that mindset right now. So got Demon Slayer on the brain, gonna draw Demon Slayer, boys. Another thing that I really loved is how perfect this color is to the actual color of his jacket. The green in his checkered jacket is just so almost perfect, and I was really happy with that because I was afraid that I wasn't going to have a green that matched it perfectly, but then I remember that I have just literally every single pen in their selection, so I shouldn't have worried about that too much. As you saw, my collection is ever growing of acrylograph pens. I have both the 0.7mm and the 3mm tips of each marker as well, so it's awesome because I can cover very small little details and very wide areas. And of course, the metallic pens are no different. They come in the 3mm nib set and the 0.7mm. You guys have probably watched me use acrylograph markers from Archer and Olive a lot more in bullet journaling, which is essentially what they started off as being for. But the thing is, they are just so versatile as a medium. I can just use them for art and bullet journaling and just literally anything because of just how versatile they are. Which is why I thought it'd be a really nice idea to do a whole video where I just use these pens to make some artwork. And let me tell you, it was awesome. It was as if they were made to be done, to be used for art. They're just awesome. If you do watch my bullet journaling videos and my bullet journaling content, you will have probably heard me gush about these pens more than once. So yeah, it's interesting to see the same sort of materials in a different context and see how they work for just basically a different purpose. And And here I finally got to using my metallic pen for this specific Tanjiro drawing, and I of course went and used the blue metallic pen, which was absolutely perfect for the water sort of effects that come out of his sword and stuff, which again, the style of these special effects is so like beautiful and specific and just gorgeous to watch. So I was very nervous to, you know, get it wrong or not make it look as reminiscent of the actual art style, but in the end I was kind of happy with how it turned out, and I think overall the metallicness of the metallic blue just kind of made the water look a lot more sparkly and realistic, which is awesome because the water in this show just has a lot of like a very graphic-y style to it. So the fact that the main blue color that I use is metallic just kind of adds that element of realism to it that, I don't know, I just think it married really well with the style. And then I went over and added some little details with my white acrylograph and my dark blue one just to sort of make it fully match the style of the original Demon Slayer anime, and I was really happy with how it turned out. And finally, it was just time to add like some, you know, final details here and there to his hair and just some highlights here and there. And of course, I had to go in at the end and add the beautiful sort of black line art that the show has. It's something that, again, is very evident when you watch Demon Slayer, is just the very specific line art that they use that I had to sort of incorporate here somehow. And this is how Tanjiro came out. I'm so happy with it. And I couldn't help myself. I added a bit more of that red, that beautiful metallic red, and added just like a streak of it to his hair, just because I thought he looked really cool. So I don't know, I just kind of, it was a bit of a spur of the moment thing. So never mind me, but I think it ended up looking cool. So then for Zenitsu, I started off using a yellow for the background, but I was very hesitant in using a light color because I knew that I was going to be using the gold and the copper tone metallic pens for the lightning. That's his, you know, his effect thing, and I wanted them to stand out as much as possible, so I decided to go for a darker color. So I went for this brown earthy tone for the background, which I think ended up being a good decision because I feel like if I'd gone with a yellow, the lightning would not have popped out at all, and it just wouldn't, it would have removed the element of you know, of the gasp element of the piece. So yeah, I just filled in all of the background in this one solid block brown color and started drawing in, you know, painting in, I mean, the skin tone and all the other flat colors really. But I did go in with that same yellow. It's kind of this sort of greenish yellow. It's more on the greenish side than on the orangey side. And I did that for the base of his hair. And then I used a more orangey yellow to do his kimono. And I used that same exact kimono color to kind of add a bit more of dimension to his hair. So I added that to the area closest to his roots and in any areas that I wanted to add shadows to, because he does have like a duotoned sort of hair color with sort of these orangey tones and these yellow tones, and I kind of wanted to try and implement that a little bit here. But I wasn't incredibly precious with the hair coloring, as you can see, because obviously I'm going to go in with the black marker and add in those awesome texture lines that Zenitsu has that I think is probably one of my favorite character design choices in a long time. It is just so cool the way that they draw his hair. The way they draw all the hair actually on this show is awesome, but Zenitsu's in particular is so characteristic, and I don't know, I love how unique it is. So this is me just adding in those sort of orangey shadows to his hair. I mainly use the 0.7mm nibs for these, just because it got me the most accuracy, I guess, in like the little fine point areas. And I also used that yellow that I used for the base of his hair to draw the little lightning streaks on his katana. He has such a cool katana, it's actually insane. I just wanted to add a bit more of that, you know, lightning element into his sword. So that's what I did there. And as you can see, it was literally just a black sword, and I just went over with like a very light yellow and it just covered it, no problem. This is why we stan acrylograph pens from Archer and Olive. And then this is probably my favorite part of all of these drawings, was doing the line art on Zenitsu's hair. I just couldn't help myself. I went in right away with a black acrylograph pen in 0.7 millimeters and I just went to town. It was so fun, and it was just very like rewarding to see his hair that was previously a mess kind of come together and look a bit more like Zenitsu himself. And that of course went for his eyebrows, which have sort of the same style to it, with the thick black lines and the duotone colors, and I just kept adding in those cool details. And I kind of started adding more and more details, I realized, as the drawing went along, because I felt like I was avoiding doing the lightning part of this drawing. I was very afraid of messing it up, considering some of the lightning is going to go over him and stuff that I'd already taken so much time drawing. I was just afraid of messing up. So I kind of kept avoiding the lightning portion of this drawing, but I did actually end up doing it. You'll find. So yeah, I just kept coloring in everything else, adding in the details on his face, as well as the shadows and stuff on his face, and just doing all of the line art basically of everything, so I could avoid the lightning part as much as possible. I felt like I was amping myself up. I wasn't avoiding, I was just, you know, just hyping myself up to do the lightning bit. And in the end, it did turn out okay. I kind of felt like I held my breath the whole time, but it was fine. He's kind of in this very concentrated face. He's thinking real hard. I won't spoil too much about Zenitsu and his character, so if you do end up watching, it'll be a nice surprise for you. But it's probably one of my favorite character just attributes ever, or character little bits is anyway, if you've watched Demon Slayer, you know what I'm talking about when he goes in the zone. So I thought that was so funny, and I kind of wanted to draw him in that pose, sort of in that facial expression. And then it was finally time to actually go in and do the lightning. And because I did this quite slowly and, you know, carefully, I wanted to get the lightning to look like lightning, which is not as easy as it sounds, or as you'd think. So I did speed this part up a bit, just so you wouldn't have to go through me carefully thinking every stroke. But yeah, I do like how it ended up looking in the end. I think I went a bit overboard when I added in the white and the yellow on top of the gold, but anyway, I just really love this gold. It looks so powerful next to, you know, the darkness of the background. I just think it ended up with the exact, you know, feel that I was going for. Really happy with how it turned out. I added a bunch more lightning around his katana just to make it really, you know. And I did want to add some sort of like halo or some glow around the lightning, but alas, I'm going for a very graphic-y look, so I'm happy with how it ended up looking like regardless. And finally, it's time for probably my favorite of the three, my baby boy Inosuke. I love him so much. He's like my favorite character probably of the Demon Slayer canon at the moment. I just love how feisty he is and how much of a character development he has just in season 1 alone. I just really enjoy him and how feisty he is and just how much he loves to eat. And also his backstory is really cute. He was, you know, raised by wild boars, and that's why his like sort of Demon Slayer power tactic thing is boar breathing and just specific type of breathing techniques that he uses. And I just think that that's really sweet that he, you know, took so much from where like he grew up in and the situation that he grew up in and uses it for good. So I love him, but also he's a bit of an idiot, and I love him as well. So I started off by just, you know, drawing his beautiful hair and how like just everything about him is just, he's a model. We love to see it. That's also something that I love about this character, is that he uses this awful, like, well, not awful, but, you know, this weird boar mask thing over his head like 80% of the time, and then every time he removes it, everyone's just like so like in shock of how gorgeous he is, because he's like an actual model. Oh my gosh, he's beautiful. And I just love that about him, that he's just such a gorgeous boy underneath this boar mask. But yeah, love that for him. So yeah, I added the sort of like ombre blue dip dye parts of his hair, and then I went for a lighter blue for all the other sections in the background. I wanted to keep it very in the blue family, of course, because of his hair and his eyes. They're blue. And because I was going to be using the silver pen for the sort of clouds of the breathing thing that he does, I wanted to keep it, you know, nice and simple, just a plain blue background. And I feel like blue and silver go well together because they're very cold tones. So just kind of went in with my blue acrylograph. In retrospect, I probably should have used the 3mm one, because it took me quite a while to fill out all of this with the 0.7mm. I don't know why I did that, but I guess I was finding it very therapeutic to color between the lines again. Yeah, then I went in, added some shadows to his face, etc., filled in his brows, did some line art on his face. It was lovely. And then of course added his beautiful blue pearlescent eyes in the mix as well. And then I just started coloring in the rest of his hair, creating that sort of gradient that he has from like a black to blue dip dye effect, which I don't think they ever explain, but also I'm kind of here for it. I really love the fact that his hair is dip dyed. I just really love that for him. So yeah, just kind of adding in the black and slowly, like, quote unquote blending it into the blue, but in a graphic-y style. So, you know, with lines as opposed to with direct blending. Yeah, very happy with how it turned out. His hair looks as flowy as ever, and I'm very glad that I managed to portray just how silky smooth this man's hair is. Of course, I was very careful when adding the line art. Again, the line art in this show is very important, so it was something that I paid a lot of attention to how I was doing the line art so that it kind of matched the style as much as possible. And then finally, I went in with the metallic color for this specific piece. I used the silver color to draw out these clouds around him. They're meant to be sort of like steam clouds that he kind of, you know, snorts out of his nose and his mouth when he does his breathing technique. And I just think that it just kind of reminds me of when the clouds are nice and silvery and they like reflect light and whatever, and I just think they look really cute. And again, trying to copy sort of the style of Demon Slayer when they draw clouds and just any sort of, you know, mist and steam and stuff. I just think they have a very specific style in visual effects, and I wanted to keep it as true to that as possible while still sticking to sort of the graphic style that I was going for in these pieces. So that was a nice challenge for me on this day. Yeah, went over all these clouds with the metallic pen. The silver pops off so hard, you guys, you don't even understand. Like, Archer and Olive didn't have to go off so hard, but they did. I'm very much in love with these pens, and I can't wait to like see how they look in a bullet journaling context, because I've only just been using them for art mainly. I then went in finally with my black pen, added the last few, you know, bits of line art around the boar head and stuff like that, and just fixing any mistakes where I'd missed the lines when I was coloring in. And overall, I'm so happy with how it turned out. Of course, added some blushies and finished off the boar mask with some final little details. And then of course I had to just make his pearlescent blue eyes as beautiful as possible, so really tried to like add a sort of a little bit of a gradient in there as much as possible. And that was it for all my boys, all my good boys. Look how cute they look. The silver really is just so gorgeous in different lights. It shines so beautifully, and I'm very happy with it. I then trimmed them down so that they would actually look like these little collectible cards. So I just cut them down to size and then used a little corner cutter that I actually bought that day. So I was trying it out for the first time. I used the 7mm diameter sort of, or radius one, because I think that was the perfect size for these cards, and I just think they look so cool, and they actually look like kind of collectible cards. I'm really happy with them. In retrospect, I would have loved to add like some sort of border to them and maybe like a backside with stats and stuff, so maybe the next time I do something like this I'll do that, but I'm really happy with how these three turned out. They just look so cool now that they're like down to size, and they shine. They're shiny ones. I love it. They're so gorgeous. I love it. I love how the pens came out. I love how the metallic pens really like make them just somewhat more special. They're not just like a random card of art. They actually like shine if you put them in a specific light. To be honest, I was using a ring light in this video, so trust me when I say that they actually shine a lot more in real light, so in direct light. But yeah, very happy with these. Thank you so much to Archer and Olive for sending me these beautiful pens. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check out these pens when they come out next week. I'm very excited for you guys to get your hands on them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye!